there still has not been a single solitary shred of evidence of anything dishonest that I have done in my public life, not only as governor, not only as governor and as president. Men I'd behad att sen har sett länge. Men I'd behad att sen har sett länge. Men I'd behad att sen har sett länge.
A few months ago, and again this week, bin Laden publicly vowed to wage a terrorist war against America. I am the snake old terrorist. I am the snake old terrorist. I am the snake old terrorist.
I'm not going to parse the statement. You all got the statement I made earlier, and it speaks for itself. But
I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to work for the American people. Thank you. I hate to say this. I hate to say this. I hate to say this.
I don't know why I have these feelings for him. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I don't really have these feelings. Maybe I'm pretending it. I don't know.
You know, initially, when this first started and I would be accused of something or my husband would be accused of something, I would be really upset. Hammering it. Hammering it. Hammering it.
Now, come on, I mean, you all voted for the agreement now, and everything's, you know, basically going in the right direction. It's one
small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Niagara, let it fall. Niagara, let it fall.
Now, how does this reverse speech work?
Well, the basic theory is that language is bi-level, forwards as well as backwards. As all of us are speaking, we are creating the sounds of our speech in such a way that we're saying two things.
And so if we're not telling the truth forwards, then the truth will come out when it's played backwards.
Exactly correct. What we're hearing in reverse is the real self, who you really are on the unconscious level.
Now, and you think children speak backwards?
Children are speaking backwards from as early as 4 months of age. They start off with simple single words, and then by the time...
And then why do they go forwards?
Well, that's when the conscious mind starts learning. See, the unconscious mind learns first. The unconscious mind picks up the information first. That is speaking in reverse, and then the conscious mind starts forward speech around about 13 or 14 months.
And how do you know it's not just the laws of probability that if you play like a John Howard speech backwards for long enough, you're going to be able to find something? And
sure. Yeah, well, that's one of the criticisms thrown at the field, but the fact is these reverse phrases are occurring once every 15 or 20 seconds of speech. They're occurring in grammatically correct sentences that relate directly to what's been spoken forwards, and the odds of that happening by pure chance are extremely high, to say the least.
Now, Bob, we're going to be listening now to John Howard speaking about terrorism to have it revealed to us whether he's telling the truth and he's sincere about the threat of terrorism, or he's lying just so he can pass draconian laws.
It has thus far been a quite uncontroversial amendment.
He's there talking about the sedition laws. And let's hear what he says in reverse.
Dark fear. So he is genuinely very concerned about the terrorist threat.
The next thing is John Howard talking about being able to imprison terrorists without charges.
An amendment that effectively substitutes the definite article.
And backwards?
They name innocent. So there is a risk in this legislation of innocent people also being arrested.
Now, this is John Howard talking about the 2002 Bali bombing.
Was its inclusion along with a number of other tourist and cultural locations.
And backwards?
Yeah, looks like a tourist. Yeah, looks like a tourist.
They will fuck the tourists. Now, so he sees future problems coming ahead. Now, bear in mind, this was in 2002, and he's saying more trouble is going to come.
So there were three things we played backwards.
Yep.
The first one, Howard, he's being sincere. He does have a deep fear of terrorism.
Have a deep fear.
The second one, he's being a bit insincere because he's putting forward this legislation that he knows may name innocent people.
Yeah, looks like a tourist.
And then the third one, he's sincere again.
Yeah, he's being very sincere. In point of fact, I don't think he's being strong enough in the forwards. He should be saying in the forwards, hey, listen, we're going to have more attacks coming.
So he's about 50% on it.
50%, yeah, that would be a fair way to describe that.
Why don't we cut out all the forward speak and go straight for the reverse speech?
Oh, well, that would mean a world full of truth. I don't know whether we could handle that.
We have all been trying in our different ways to cope. It is not easy to express the sense of loss, since the initial shock is often succeeded by a mixture of other feelings. This week at Balmoral, we have all been trying to help William and Harry come to terms with the devastating loss that they and the rest of us have suffered. I, for one, believe there are lessons to be drawn from her life and from the extraordinary and moving reaction to her death.
The masses of people are rising up, and wherever they are assembled today, whether they are in Johannesburg, South Africa, Nairobi, Kenya, Accra, Ghana, New York City, Atlanta, Georgia, Jackson, Mississippi, or Memphis, Tennessee, the cry is always the same: we want to be free. It is for you, none of God. It is for you, none of God. It is for you, none of God. I want to say tonight that I too am happy that I didn't sneeze, because if I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1960, when students all over the South started sitting in at lunch counters. And I knew that as they were sitting in, they were really standing up for the best in the American dream and taking the whole nation back to those great wells of democracy which were dug deep by the founding fathers in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. I wouldn't have been down in Selma, Alabama to see the great movement there if I had sneezed. I have been wounded. I have been wounded. I have been wounded. I wouldn't have been in Memphis to see a community rally around those brothers and sisters who are suffering. I'm so happy that I didn't sneeze. And they were telling me. Now it doesn't matter now. It really doesn't matter what happens now. I'm no matter what I'm not delivering. 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 What would happen to me from some of our sick white brothers? Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. If I've been now sniffed on out. If I've been now sniffed on out. If I've been now sniffed on out. And he's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over. And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. And some of the people, or people, and some of the people, or people, and some of the people, or people. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Are you like him at all?
To a degree, in that, you know, you kind of do it yourself sort of thing, you know, self-starter, but, you know, I'm not some kind of corporate giant breaking strikes or anything.
How much fun was this film then to do?
Well, it was a lot of fun, you know, because I got to play with all these guys. She was the whip, that guy, Zach Bundy. She was the whip, that guy, Zach Bundy. She was the whip, that guy, Zach Bundy.
I understand that this afternoon Maharishi conferred with you all. Could I ask you what advice he offered you?
He told us not to get overwhelmed by grief, and to whatever thoughts we have of Brian, to keep them happy, because any thoughts we have of him will travel to him wherever he is. Brian, to keep them happy.
To speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands. The Lord is left believe. The Lord is left believe. The Lord is left believe.
The worst thing you can have, that you can ever have, is have your argument taped. I would say, anybody out there that's married or that's in a relationship, just turn a tape recorder on the next time you have an argument and play it back. You will not believe that was you. Turn a tape recorder on the next time you have an argument and play it back. You will not believe that was you. That's getting more. That's getting more. That's getting more. Just turn a tape recorder on the next time. That's getting more.
When other dimensions or whatever, spirits or whatever you want to use, are trying to lock into you, you sometimes feel like a spider's web on your face. Well, funnily enough, I never had before and I never have since, but at that moment, seriously powerful, real, tangible. Heaven and earth, for heaven. Heaven and earth, for heaven. Heaven and earth, for heaven. But when I got to the top, there was a circle of standing stones, about waist high. These stones were obviously been there a very, very long time. So I walk into the middle of this circle, and I'm looking across to Siyustani and across to the distant mountains, and it's a piercing hot Peruvian day. No clouds, not a cloud in the sky, very much like this one today. And I walk to the center of the circle, and suddenly my feet go again, like they did in the news shot, but only seriously more powerful. They're like magnets pulling my feet to the ground. And I think, oh, crikey, I recognize that. Here we go. And then I felt like a drill going in the top of my head and through my body, through my feet into the ground, and then another one coming the other way. And then my arms go out at 45 degrees like that. I never made any decision to do it. And of course, you hold your arms out there for, a minute. It starts to ache. Well, my shoulders do anyway. It was the best part of an hour. It must be 45 minutes to an hour, my arms were like that. And when it was over, my shoulders were agony, but when it was going on, nothing. And what then started to happen is this energy coming through me, this is February 1991, got more and more powerful. My body started to shake with it. And I had two very powerful thought forms that passed through my head, just like in the news shot. The first one said, they'll be talking about this 100 years from now. And Mercedes said, I mean. And Mercedes said, I mean. And Mercedes said, I mean.
Well, maybe it was very good because you actually covered up the Tillman case for a while. You covered up the Jessica Lynch case. You covered up Abu Ghraib. So something was working for you. Was there a strategy to do it, Mr. Rumsfeld?
Well, Congressman, the implication that you said you covered up, that's just false. You have nothing to base that on. You have not a scrap of evidence or a piece of paper or a witness that would attest to that.
Well, maybe it was very good because you actually covered up the Tillman case for a while. You covered up the Jessica Lynch case. You covered up Abu Ghraib. So something was working for you. Was there a strategy to do it, Mr. Rumsfeld?
Well, Congressman, the implication that you said you covered up, that's just false. You have nothing to base that on. You have not a scrap of evidence or a piece of paper or a witness that would attest to that.
What?
Feed the ducks.
No, I'm not going to feed the ducks.
Feed the bugs.
Yeah, feed the bugs. Slap your face. Slap your face. Slap your face.
And I'm quite a good girl. And I'm quite good at maths and English, but not, and science, but I don't know anything else. I'm not telling. And I'm quite a good girl. And I'm quite good at maths and English, but I'm not telling. And science, but I don't know anything else.
Captain, I got a diaper for you.
A diaper?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. A diaper? Oh, yeah.
I sense of them, I know with Eve. A sense of the trance images, a sense of what? Yes? What?
Something burning on the other end.
What?
Something burning on the other end. They're the inner immune system.
Ow!
They're the inner immune system.
Ow!
Oh!
Hello and welcome to Hot Topics in Hypnotherapy. My name is George Kappas and I'll be your host today on the show that explores new ideas, interesting people, and important developments in the field of hypnotherapy. Today we're going to learn about reverse speech technology with our guest David John Oates. So welcome, David. Glad you're here.
Thank you very much.
All right, so before I start, let me brief you, and that is that we have had in the American Hypnosis Association guest speakers since the late 70s. We have a list of probably about 300 guest speakers. All have done a 1-hour presentation. And in 1998, you came here for the first time and did a presentation on reverse speech technology, introduced us to it. And I never really got a chance to tell you, you have been the most interesting topic presentation I have ever experienced in the 30 years of having guest speakers here. I must tell you, you are my favorite one in the entire AHA library. You're the one I tell people, you are the best. And not just you're okay. But reverse speech technology is the most interesting, potentially societal changing thing I've ever heard. And I consider myself a subconscious behaviorist. We're fascinated here with anything that the subconscious controls. And this idea of reverse speech is just phenomenal. So I want to introduce our web TV audience to this reverse speech.
Thank you.
I know 2 days from now you're going to give another AHA presentation. For any of you in the American Hypnosis Association, I think this will be his 3rd lecture in the library. Watch this. Of course, join us this Saturday when he does it. And then Sunday, you're having an advanced course on teaching people how to actually do this as therapists.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So that said, tell me again, what is the basis of reverse speech?
Well, the name reverse speech refers to hidden messages in our speech. The theory is that as we're speaking, we're creating the sounds of our speech in such a way that we're saying 2 things at once, one forwards and one backwards. This is a natural function of language. All of us are doing it all the time. What we do is quite literally, we record people speaking and run the tapes in reverse. And when you run the tapes backwards, about once every 30 seconds or so, you can hear a very clear phrase amongst the gibberish. That is what is happening on the conscious as well as the unconscious level. The unconscious mind is speaking in reverse, embedded backwards into the sounds of our speech.
Right. All right. This is the part. I could spend the whole show just on this one idea because this is great. Let me make sure I got it and they got it. And you're from a funny land. Australia, where it's hard to understand anything you say. By the way, reverse speech isn't just because in Australia everything is backwards. The water goes backwards, the speech goes backwards.
It does too.
So here's what I love about it. So what you're saying, what your proposal is in this model is that our subconscious mind, while we're walking and talking and everything, it's beating our heart. It's pushing our blood around. We're not thinking about any of that. It's telling our breathing how to regulate. But as we're talking, it also has its own commentary. It's making a verbal commentary on what we're saying, how we're feeling.
Exactly correct.
And it's in reverse.
It's in reverse.
Right, and it doesn't matter what we're saying forwards. It's not just the words backwards.
Oh, no.
That's the interesting part. It's a separate commentary, not just, it's actual like if you had a little guy on your shoulder who was telling the truth about what you're saying, whether you're saying the truth or not. So in a sense, the societal changing part is that if it wasn't in reverse, if we had a way to hear it, expose it, in a sense, nobody could lie again.
Nobody could lie at all. No,
right, because you'd be constantly telling on yourself about how you really feel.
Exactly right. It's a constant voice of truth that is continually occurring as we are speaking. If we're lying forwards, we'll get the truth in reverse. If we're hiding facts from our conversation, they can also be in reverse. One of the great things about it too is that if we have issues, psychological issues or behavioural issues, reverse speech can often give us the unconscious reasons for those issues. It's whatever is happening in the unconscious has the potential to appear backwards in our speech.
Right, so sometimes our reverse speech is congruent to what we're saying. I mean, we feel and we're honest and congruent with what we're saying. Like, I'm happy you're here, and I might be saying reverse, I'm so happy. Right? Or I could say, I'm happy you're here, and in reverse I'd be saying, get this guy out of here, right? And depending on how I'm feeling, how congruent I am, right? And you really don't know, right? And none of us know because we've all we're sort of actors.
That's right.
And we learned early in life to say one thing and sometimes feel another. And then the other thing is that what you're saying is that it reveals maybe information we don't know.
Sure.
Not that it knows everything. And this is a point I have with a lot of things. Like we have ideomotor response, where a pendulum swings yes or no, you know, the Ouija board, and it reveals things that aren't known to us. It doesn't mean those things are facts. It just means that's what the subconscious feels or believes.
Correct.
So it's going to give us feelings and emotions, not necessarily like it's absolute truth, but it's more emotional based. Was that correct?
It's truth according to the individual.
Right, what I believe, how their reality.
Exactly correct. Their reality, their viewpoint, their perspective. It's interesting when you say sometimes it can tap into things we don't know, because at the deepest levels of reverse switch, we're actually tapping into a common collective unconscious knowledge, where we're tapping into that universal mind, which is quite fascinating.
Okay, so yes, and I you know, again, those are issues I think are bigger issues. Does ideomotor response have facts, or is it just giving beliefs? I'm on the belief camp. You know, it's really revealing our inner beliefs and the models that run our thinking. So there's really different applications, different levels. One is societal.
Sure.
And I know in the longer format lectures, you give a lot of examples where you play something and then you reverse it. And I'm going to ask you to do a couple today. And I have my favorites from the years past, and then you have some. So one is societal, meaning that in today's society, we don't listen to our politicians live. They're all recorded.
Right.
And so they make all these public statements, crafted statements. But with reverse speech, it has the potential to tell us how they really feel about what they're saying.
Sure.
Right?
Oh, yeah. The classic example is the Bill Clinton sex scandals that were from many years ago.
That's my favorite clip, right.
Well, we're going to be playing that clip.
Right.
And where Bill Clinton was obviously not wanting the people to know that he was having this affair, but yet back was in his speech, there were these constant hints. And I remember I was tracking Bill Clinton several months before the Monica Lewinsky scandals ever went public, and he was telling us in his reverse speech exactly what was going on. And I went public on a few radio shows, and I was saying, listen, I don't know what's happened to Bill Clinton, but I've got all these explicit sexual reversals on him, and I was accused of bias by the radio show host. And then, of course, a few months later, the sex scandals broke, and reverse speech was vindicated. But it's got an amazing potential to look into the minds of our politicians and find out what they're really thinking and really feeling. Some reversals on Barack Obama are very revealing as to what his real intention are.
Interesting. Yeah. So there's a huge potential right there. That if you could never make a public statement without your true feelings about that statement being known, it could dramatically change society.
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, the bottom line of reverse speech essentially means that the human mind is no longer private. We now have a reliable way of going into the human mind and finding out what's really going on and really transpiring. It takes us a whole lot further than the polygraph, which will tell us the truth or lie. This will go a whole lot further and tell us.
Right, because it reveals. It's not just yes or no.
Right.
Now, do you think that if your subconscious knew that it was being heard, that it could learn to then lie in reverse?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I personally don't believe so.
No?
No, I personally don't believe so. I think that the unconscious communicates the truth no matter what. And even though we can become very skilled at lying, and some people are brilliant at it.
I'm a good liar.
Right. The unconscious is still going to betray the truth in some way, shape or form, either through that subtle slip of the tongue or a subtle body language movement. But now, of course, we have reverse speech, which I don't believe it can be trained to lie.
Okay, so now the other, there's so many applications, but another, I think, important application is in relationships, and like in relationship counseling.
Sure.
Okay, because here's my take on it, and again, since I heard about reverse speech, and I've been constantly thinking about it. And that is that, okay, so you're talking to your partner, and it may be a benign conversation, or it could be a heated argument, but you're saying, listen, honey, do you want to go to the thing tonight? And they'll say, sure, whatever you want. But they could be saying in reverse, I can't stand you tonight, right? I can't, right?
Sure, absolutely.
And so the other part is we not only speak in reverse, but we hear in reverse. We
Yes.
just don't know we hear in
we
reverse.
do.
We're not that aware, but we're responding to the reverse as well.
Exactly correct. Reverse speech is a communication process. We're
Right.
constantly hearing the reversals of each other.
Right.
And we're recognizing it as intuition or that gut feeling.
Right.
But if you've ever been in a conversation with someone and suddenly the conversation goes off in a tangent and you think, where did that come from? Many times you may be actually hearing and responding to the reverse speech.
Right. So, like when I'm in a conversation with my wife, and sometimes I relate it to like I instantly feel odd about the conversation, right? And so my theory is she's saying something different in reverse.
Right.
This is not what she's saying.
I think you're absolutely right.
And vice versa.
Right.
You know, when you're just sort of placating, but you're really communicating all over the place, and then they just sort of get a weird vibe.
Right.
So that if people, even if they didn't know specifically about what the reverse was, just knowing that it's there makes you more aware of when you're getting those incongruent signals, that kind of that intuition.
Sure, yeah, exactly right. You know, it's interesting because many times I can find entire conversations in reverse where someone will say a statement, then the reverse will respond, and then you get another response to that. And particularly when someone is in very, very good rapport, if you've got two people in very
So
good
if they're close
rapport.
rapport, do you think they hear more of the reversal?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yes,
oh,
the
yes.
intimacy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, rapport is a very key factor. In point of fact, when rapport is high is where you get the most number of reversals. You can get reversals once every 5 seconds with two people in high rapport. If rapport is not good, they'll drop off to once every 30 or once every minute, 30 seconds every minute.
And speaking of relationships, like flirting, can you imagine the reversals involved in flirting where you say something like, "Oh, you look nice today," right? And, but what are you communicating, and what are they hearing?
Right.
You know, and perhaps their receptiveness to what you're saying.
You know, I've got an example in one of my books where a boy meets a girl and they're talking, I forget what they're talking about forwards, and in
By the way,
reverse
this is
you've
Los
got...
Angeles, boy meets everybody out here.
Oh, right. Boy meets person.
Yes, okay.
And they're talking about the weather, but in reverse you've got this whole sexual interplay running. You know, I think I like him, or do I like him? Yes, I do like him, and yeah, he would be good to kiss, or more
Or the
explicit
creep
than that.
factor, where someone says, "How are you?" but they're thinking some creepy thought, right? And you're picking up on the creep factor.
And you may get a zap from talking to the person, like, "Oh, gee, what did he just say?" You know, and you say, "Gee whiz, I felt something there." And many times you're hearing the reversal and reacting to the backwards phrase.
I love it. So, I mean, like, if you're analyzing president's speech, okay, you're going to spend some time on that,
Sure.
right? But if you're a therapist and you're spending 1 hour with a person,
Right.
then to go back and dig through that reverse speech, it's a 3-to-1 ratio, right? You're end up spending 4 hours, and there's a practicality involved. Do you look for, if you're a therapist, emotional latent portions of the interview that you may focus on instead of the "How are you? What's going on? What happened this week?"
Sure, yeah, you want to go right to the meat.
Right.
Although, that being said, sometimes in the "Good day, how are you?" you can find very significant reversals. They could be thinking about what happened to them when they said "Good day" and how are you?" But yeah, you can go to the particular portion of the tape that you want to analyse. That would speed up the process, but then you may miss out on some really key reversals in the introduction stage. So you really see, I analyse the whole tape. I start from the beginning and go right through to the end, and there's no way you can get around that hard yakka, as we say in Australia, hard yakka of sitting down with the headphones on and finding the reversals.
So it's like Vegemite sandwich.
Yeah, that's
or
right.
something.
Yeah,
Hard yakka.
Yeah, hard yakka. Good Aussie slang.
I know two Aussie slangs.
Right.
So do people hire you to do this? They submit tapes to you and they say, "Here's a tape." What kind of people are you doing this for?
Oh, well, I do contract work for businessmen in Sydney. Before they're about to make an important business decision, they will ring me and talk about it on tape. and we'll analyse that. And we'll
Are they using it for advantages? Are they
Oh,
taping
sure.
the negotiations?
Oh, sure.
And then
Oh,
the reverse guy says, I can't go any higher than 100 grand. And then the reverse go, I hope he doesn't ask me for 150, but I'll pay it. You know,
Right.
Did you get that?
That's the type of thing you can get indeed. You know, I remember a case just recently. A man was thinking about opening up his business in America, and he talked on tape about whether it would be a good idea or not. And we had a reversal that said, start off with it; it will be profit. And so his unconscious is telling him, yes, go ahead and do this because this will be a successful business venture for you.
He's listening to his own speech, you're saying.
Correct. Oh,
so
yeah,
he's actually looking for insights in his own speech.
Yeah, well, because you're tapping into your own unconscious mind, and your unconscious knows you far better than you know you. I know that might sound a bit like a contradiction of terms, but our unconscious knows us very, very well, and it knows whether our ventures are going to work or not. Or whether there's stumbling blocks.
Or how we feel about
right,
it. Right,
sure.
Yeah.
I'll also do contract work for therapists who are working with their clients, and they want to know what's really going on and get some extra insights. I'll send me the tape and analyse the tape.
So they contact you at reversespeech.com. Right. They email you, I suppose, a tape and a file, and you send them back your thoughts. How about lawyers? You got anything like that?
Lawyers, yeah, I've done some work for lawyers in the past. There's one particular case I can think of where she was analysing all the depositions of the
yes, I would think so.
And finding extra information. And I remember one case I worked on, reversal, said the papers are in the attic. And she went back in the second deposition and said, what's in your attic, sir? And,
so there's no, I mean, obviously, there's no like privacy issues. I mean, no one could claim, well, my reverse speech is private. You had no right to listen to it in reverse.
Well, that raises some interesting legal questions in the future as reverse speech technology gets known more.
Right.
There are all sorts of questions, like should Miranda rights now say anything you say forwards and backwards can be used against you?
Okay, very good. Right. So, now, I got to share this one with you. So you came the first time, and I was excited and I was fascinated, and then you left, and I was, just all excited, and I was telling some of my staff people about it, and I had a guy go, I don't know, I think you're hearing, and I go, let's try it, right? I had one of the little tape recorders, right, that you were hawking back then, and I said, we had a drawer full of cassette tapes of instructors. I said, randomly grab a tape and let's try it. So he grabs his tape, and it was an old workshop, and I looked at it, and the instructor, who is no longer with us, but she had been with us for a while, and she was going through a divorce, kind of a nasty thing, or separation. But she was, anyway, I stuck it in, and it's like a Saturday morning workshop, and she says on the thing, forwards, hey everyone, thanks for coming out on a Saturday morning. I know, I'm sure we all have better things to do on a Saturday morning than be here learning stuff, but I'm glad you're here, right? Then we reversed it, and it says, I want penis. And I was like, what? And we played it over and over, and it was clear as a bell. I want penis. And then knowing that her and her husband weren't getting along, I was like, oh my God, this is so great. I love reverse speech. And so I had to share that with you.
I'm glad you did.
Apparently he didn't share it with her, but
no, obviously not.
But my one and only reversal was quite fun and dramatic. So I got to say this because I don't want it to sneak out. I don't want you to get a weird vibe from me because I'm saying how much I love you on one level, and then another level. I got an emotion here that's contradictory. I am so frustrated and pissed off at you that this hasn't become famous in the last 12 years. I mean, I tell people about it, and they're like, they haven't heard about it, right?
Yeah.
Now, what's up? What, 12 years you haven't broken out yet? I mean,
George, I wish I had the answer to that question.
You know what? Reverse that. I want to know what he's really saying. Right?
I don't know. I travel around. I do my lectures. I do my workshops. I do my TV appearances. I do my radio shows. I mean, I don't know what else I can do. I'm spreading the word in as much as I can. I just came back from England last year doing a lecture tour in England. Look, the problem is you hit the nail on the head in an earlier question you asked me. The problem is the laborious nature of finding the reversals.
But if you find them for people, we don't need them to do it. We just need them to know that it exists. And I'm thinking, there's a therapist level. And by the way, one of our director, Lee, he told me he went to your advanced training last time, and he said, make sure to ask them about the metaphors, that people talk in metaphors, and then when that's revealed to the therapist, he can then, especially hypnotherapists, they can use those metaphors.
Sure.
What do you mean by
yeah.
metaphors? They talk
Well, the unconscious mind speaks a lot in pictures and images. We call them metaphor, using words like wolf, Lancelot, goddess, Garden of Eden. You're tapping into a common universal collective unconscious, which Carl Jung talked a lot about the metaphorical nature of the unconscious. You think about how we dream in pictures and images. The unconscious thinks in pictures. Someone who's suffering from motivation issues may use reversal. Says, I have a sick wolf. In reverse speech, wolf is a common metaphor for our motivation to be strong and forthright. I've developed the whole hypnosis technique where I work with the unconscious metaphors. Someone who has a sick wolf, I'll put them in a light hypnotic trance and I'll ask them to picture a wolf. Invariably, they'll picture the wolf the way the reversal said it would. They might see it as being sick. I'll tell them to heal the wolf. We might take them to a creek where the wolf can drink. We might take the wolf hunting where it can catch some food. But as I'm working with the metaphors of the unconscious, we're actually changing the behaviour that these metaphors represent. A sick wolf represents low emotion. You make the wolf well and low motivation. Make the wolf well and the motivation improves. I mean, you know about the power of visualisation working with hypnosis.
Right.
One of the great things about reverse speech is that it gives us the actual pictures that the unconscious is using.
Right.
So you're not sort of giving a generic visualisation, guided visualisation journey. You're tailor-making the journey to the metaphors of the unconscious.
Which we do in dream therapy as well. We would look
right.
at the dreams and look at
Right.
the images and all of that. So when you're training a therapist, what are you training them to do then?
Oh, well, there's several things. For a start, we're training them, first of all, to step out of their own belief systems and operate and analyse the tape independently. The first stage of the program is how to find the reversals. That's headphones on, running the tapes backwards. You're looking for shifts in tonalities. Genuine reversals have a very sing-song melodic tone to them. And so I'm training the students to watch for that melodic sing-song tone. The training also teaches students how to conduct conversations to elicit specific reversals. Like I said earlier, reversals occur a lot when rapport is high. So we teach students basic NLP techniques, how to create rapport and maintain rapport. In the second year of the training, I'll teach the hypnosis. It's a unique technique I've developed called metaphor structuring. I teach students how to read the transcripts and find the metaphors that they're running, what behaviour that metaphor is associated with. We then map out an entire metaphoric journey, taking clients through the metaphors of the unconscious. So that takes me a few months how to train the clients up to do that. So it's a two-stage process. The first stage is telling the students how to find the reversals, how to interpret them, how to conduct conversations so the specific reversals will occur. And the second stage is how to work with them and how to change the unconscious and rewrite human behaviour with your knowledge of reverse speech metaphor. So the metaphors are very, very powerful. It really is the key behind what creates us and makes us and organises our behaviour.
Cool. Now, when someone sneezes, there's no reverse in that, is there?
Oh, there might be.
When they cough, like
I tell you what, I found reversals in laughter that says this is funny. So,
okay. Reversals and laughter.
Yeah.
Great. My interest in why I'm so frustrated is what I think it could do to society and to politics.
Right.
Now, first of all, why Australia, David? I mean, there's nobody there, right? It's far away. Don't you think that being in Australia, based in Australia, do you think it holds you back at all?
Well, it does, rather. Look, I've had many people tell me I should move back to the States. I moved back for my kids. I wanted my kids to go to high school in Australia. So when they turned 12, I moved back home. But
Nice.
But sure, there's not much interest in Australia, and I really need to be in America.
In Los Angeles, David.
Yeah, right.
LA.
LA, right.
Because David, as I mentioned to you before we came out, I want you to do a show for us, and I really think you should be doing a show for Network on reversing the weekly bombardment of political statements that we have.
That would be fantastic.
I think, first of all, I think not only is there money in it for you, and not only would it promote reverse speech, I think you'd be doing a tremendous value and gift to society. Yeah, you know, some people are going to doubt it, but it's going to make them think. And, you know, as more, it's going to make people research it. They're going to try and unvalidate it. In the process of trying to devaluate it, they validate it. And I think it would promote the whole concept if you had this, you know, to sort of start out in almost like the political entertainment field.
I think it would. I think it'd be a brilliant
You know,
idea.
what I want you to do for us and for any show that you're on was was have a political segment. And I know you mentioned something about Obama. I wonder if you could maybe share that with us.
Oh, sure.
And then I think you should. I would love to hear on the Oscars what they're really saying. You know, like I want to thank the director. You know, what an asshole he was. You know. And just all I want to hear Lindsay Lohan's "I'm sorry I did it" in reverse. You know.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
I mean, I'm just fascinated with this. It would get young people into it. I am concerned, though, David. I know you poo-pooed it in the first segment, but I am concerned that once it became commonplace that reverse speech was revealed, that like we learned to use biofeedback, we could learn to lie in reverse too. You know, we're very adaptable. You know, when it comes to taking away an essential need, like lying, we might adapt. You know, and so I think that'd be an interesting area to see. But then it would come out some other way. You cannot not express it.
If you learn to overcome reverse speech, there's going to be some other way.
There's going to be, because it's sort of like the Jurassic Park where the universe finds a way. The subconscious finds a way to express itself. It cannot not express itself. Right. What do you got for us?
Oh, I got a verse on Barack Obama. Here's
be nice to Barack Obama.
Okay, all right.
Negative.
Okay, so well, this is a little Freudian slip.
Okay, that's all right.
President Abbas was here. I discussed some of those same issues with him. I think it's very important that the Palestinians not look for excuses for incitement.
This is really a reversal for Michelle Obama, because he says backwards, "Soon I must have sex." See if you can hear this.
Sex.
So he's so busy with the Middle East that he's missing out on something.
Right,
okay,
obviously.
All right. Well, I mean, I've seen Michelle Obama. I can understand that. She's a very attractive woman.
She's a very attractive woman.
And then it kind of raises the question that the commentary isn't always about what you're saying.
Not always.
So he's doing this thing, you know, hey, if everybody would get on board, and he's not thinking about that, is he?
No, his mind's elsewhere.
His mind's elsewhere.
Right. And you'll get that. If their minds are elsewhere, you'll get reversals where their mind's at.
Right, so it's not necessarily, like I was saying, not necessarily a commentary on what you're saying, and then it's a commentary on what you're feeling at the moment.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely correct. Now, the majority of reversals will relate direct to what's been spoken forward. There'll be this direct contextual relationship. It's one of the things that convinced me about the reality of reverse speech many years ago, was this direct contextual relationship. But you will get reversals that are not related. And like, "Soon I must have sex." That's got nothing to do with what's being spoken forward, but it's a transient thought running through his mind. And this is where reverse speech can be very threatening. Because I mean, you think
that's very threatening. I mean, I think it's again, it has the potential to be societally changing everything, in our society.
Absolutely.
If we, you know, and there's movies about if I could not, you know, what happens if you can't lie. One of those movies.
Liar, Liar.
Liar, Liar, and a couple other ones, and you know, and they say, well, it's boxy, but it's good. You know, I mean, if we had to tell the truth, or if everything we said was going to be revealed the truth anyway, then we sort of maybe think about, you know, I might as well just tell the truth because it's embarrassing to be caught lying.
Yeah. And this could be one of the reasons, to get back to something you said earlier, why it's not known more. Because I think people are scared of it. I think it's very, very threatening. And, you know, it's one thing to joke about it.
I've heard this. I don't buy that. Okay, here's why. I think people, the mass of people are not threatened by it. It's only a certain elite that's threatened by it. The mass of people want anarchy. They want the truth. They want the gossip. I just think it's you know, it's a PR job. You gotta put it out there. You gotta come to LA, okay? You gotta start here on Web TV, and then we're gonna work you. You know, we're 5 miles from Hollywood. We're going to work you into Hollywood because that's how you got to do this, David.
Okay.
You have a very compelling story here,
Okay.
and a very compelling technology that it goes beyond two people. You
Yeah.
know, it certainly has ramifications for marriage counseling, for hypnotherapists, But when we talk about knowing what Lindsay Lohan really is saying in court, and that's compelling. I want that's societal changing, and yeah, a little bit about Barack Obama, a little bit about. Can you imagine Fox News in reverse? Right? Like Glenn Beck, right? Maybe you don't know.
Oh
these guys,
yeah. No, I know Glenn Beck. I watch him.
Okay, okay. Well, can you imagine to really know what he's feeling about what some of that stuff he's saying?
That'd be great.
It would be really great.
That'd be great.
And the newscasters, even if they're reading off a teleprompter and it's not their words, they're still going to comment on what they're feeling about it, right?
Yes, they are.
Unless, of course, they're like Barack and their mind is elsewhere, right? They're just reading the teleprompter and they're thinking about lunch or something like that.
Look, the implications of this technology, as you say, are monumental.
Yes.
It really is monumental. It's the first, well, maybe it's not the first, but it's certainly one of the most powerful ways of tapping into the unconscious that I think exists. You're not guessing with body language. You're not guessing with tones of voice. You're actually hearing the words in straightforward, everyday English. Takes all the guesswork out of it. This is actually what he's really thinking.
I mean, and the potential for jury selection,
Oh,
you know,
sure.
and a number of legal applications. Like you said, business applications were in a meeting, in a negotiation. They record it, and then they listen to what they're really saying to each other in reverse. Relationship interaction.
Yeah.
How are you recording and reversing? Are you using digital now, digital tape, and then just loading it? And
Yeah, well, I'm using digital tape players. Most of my work is done over the phone, though, so I'm recording straight into the computer.
I see.
And downloading from the TV. Go to cspan.org, and they've got all the latest political speeches there.
And then what about, you said you developed some software? And tell me about that.
It's called Reverse Speech Pro 2.5. It loads onto your computer. It brings up a little screen on the computer. You can run it forwards and backwards, and you can vary the speed. You can speed it up or slow it down. You can prepare a transcript, type out your transcript as you go.
And then you said an iPhone app as well?
Right, we're working on an iPhone app now.
What will that do?
It will do the same thing as a basic reversing machine does. You can record onto the iPhone with the microphone built into the iPhone. You can then, with the headphones, you can then run the track backwards. You can go immediately forwards, immediately backwards by pressing a button. You can slow it up, slow it down, speed it up. So it's just what you had in the little tape players many years ago will now be built into the iPhone.
Can you record a conversation as you're talking it on the iPhone and then immediately after they hang up start working on it?
Oh, sure, absolutely you could.
Really?
Oh, yeah,
You could
most
do that now?
definitely. I don't know if you can record a conversation on an iPhone now. Maybe you can.
I wonder. That'd be
That'd be great if you could.
I could really foresee for courting couples or I mean just how. There's got to be a super hot market for people that want to know what their spouse is saying, what their girlfriend, boyfriend is saying.
Oh, look, I absolutely agree.
Do you get a lot of that? Do you get that? People
I do. Yeah, I'm working with a couple right now. It's interesting. I'm working with a couple right now, and the husband, according to all intents and purposes, is the good man in the relationship. But when I ran it backwards, I found all these reversals on the husband about him sabotaging the relationship. Like one reversal says, "But I must muck this up," and so without knowing it, he's sabotaging the relationship. And with the reverse speech, you can see how he's doing it, and then make changes.
All right, so you do a lot of your stuff online. Now, we recorded one of your trainings here, last time you were here, and now we're going to release it in a pay-per-view, so people can do an online pay-per-view, but you do trainings online as well.
Sure, yeah,
ReverseSpeech.com.
Yep.
People log in, you said, and train with you and learn how to do this via distance education.
Yeah, my next class starts November 28th this year. It's done through an audio chat room on my website. I'm at my desk in Australia and you're at your desk in America, and I just teach. And it works very, very well. I've conducted many successful classes online.
So I want to do an ongoing show with you, all right?
Okay.
And you were in Australia for God knows what reason, right? And we're here in Los Angeles, and so the idea might be where you could be sending us reversals, and we could be playing them, and like a news show where we show your picture and show the reversal and show the clip and that kind of thing.
I'm too happy to do that.
So are you regularly doing newsworthy clips? How
Oh
often?
yeah, oh sure, yeah. I'm constantly. Well, there's a lot of radio shows I do on a regular basis.
So you do that in Australia?
Oh, no, I do it in Australia, but the shows are in America.
Oh, okay.
And like before I came out to America this trip, I spent several weeks just running back the clips of the latest politicians, and I've got them all ready.
And is
to
it
play.
building an audience? Are people grabbing onto the idea?
Not as much as I would like.
Yeah, because I haven't heard of the radio show. What radio show is it? Tell me.
Jeff Rent's program, Sightings.
Well, what channel?
I know he's in LA. I don't know what channel.
Jeff,
he is.
what's his name?
Jeff Rent's.
Rent's?
Sightings on
Sightings.
the radio.
Okay. I'm just so frustrated. This is so great. It should be known.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
Look,
like,
let's talk afterwards and see if we can find.
Well, what are you
ways to
really
make it
saying?
known.
Because I'm getting a weird feeling. Get this guy away from me.
I'm probably saying I feel guilty because it's not more well known.
Well, you should, because this is too important. It could benefit not just individuals. It really could benefit us. And thank you for coming out. I'm so glad you're here in America once again.
Okay.
Thank you for coming to HMI and of course Web TV and being here today. It does appear our time is up for today. I want to thank, of course, David John Oates. I want to thank our audience, and I want to thank you for joining us today and watching Hot Topics. My name is George Kappas. I hope you'll join us next time when we explore more hot topics in hypnotherapy. Please stay tuned. We have a lot more coming up for you on HMI Web TV Hypnotherapy Television 24/7. Right? Hopefully they won't reverse that. I could be a big trouble.
President Bill Clinton is here with us, so if I was president, and I won't be, let's be honest, the first thing I would do after putting my hand on that Bible and taking that oath to serve the country is I wouldn't even probably finish the oath. I would run to the White House. I'd demand to see all the classified files on the UFOs. Because I want to know. I'd want to know what has been going on. Did you do that?
Sort of.
Sort of.
Yeah, we had, I think it was at the beginning of my second term, we had the anniversary of Roswell.
You waited that long?
I did.
Wow.
Well, I didn't. And then there's also Area 51. You remember there? Well, I didn't. And then there's also Area 51.
We spit very ostazred and then they know. We spit very ostazred and then they know. We spit very ostazred and then they know.
Well, I didn't. And then there's also Area 51. You remember there was a great sci-fi movie where there was an alien kept deep under the ground in Area 51? So first I had people go look at the records on Area 51 to make sure there was no alien down there. And people thought that because everybody who works there has to stop about an hour away and put on special clothing and then drive in and out. And that's because a lot of our stealth technology is made there. We know that now, but there are no aliens there. So then but there are no aliens there. So then but there are no aliens there. So then when the Roswell thing came up, I knew we'd get, gazillions of letters. So I had all the Roswell papers reviewed, everything.
If you saw that there were aliens there, would you tell us?
Yeah.
You would?
I would. Well, I think, look, what do we know? Yeah.
You would?
I would. Well, I think, look, what do we know?
One you would have. Oh, get out. No, we. I. One you would have. Oh, get out. No, we. I. One you would have. Oh, get out. No, we. I.
Yeah.
You would?
I would. Well, I think, look, what do we know? We know now we live in an ever-expanding universe. We know that there are billions of stars and planets literally out there, and the universe is getting bigger. We know from our fancy telescopes that just in the last 2 years, more than 20 planets have been identified outside our solar system that seem to be far enough away from their suns and dense enough that they might be able to support some form of life. So it makes it increasingly less likely that we're alone.
Oh, you're trying to give me a hint that there are aliens.
No, I'm trying to tell you I don't know.
Oh. Oh, you're trying to give me a hint that there are aliens.
No, I'm trying to tell you I don't know.
Oh.
One, what I just know is not.
There are that they ain't big enough to go.
One, what I just know is not.
There are that they ain't big enough to go.
One, what I just know is not.
There are that they ain't big enough to go.
Oh, you're trying to give me a hint that there are aliens.
No, I'm trying to tell you I don't know.
Oh.
But if we were visited someday, I wouldn't be surprised. I just hope that it's not like Independence Day. That it's not like Independence Day.
Yes, the next galante. The dad. Yes, the next galante. The dad. Yes, the next galante. The dad.
That it's not like Independence Day.
Yeah, right.
That it's a conflict.
Well, now we have friendly
Maybe the only way to unite this incredibly divided world of ours. They're out there, we better...
Well, now we have friendly
Maybe the only way to unite this incredibly divided world of ours. They're out there, we better...
Heard everywhere, Byron. Trouble, and I've been dealing with darkness this kind of, when I ain't Heard everywhere, Byron. Trouble, and I've been dealing with darkness this kind of, when I ain't Heard everywhere, Byron. Trouble, and I've been dealing with darkness this kind of, when I ain't
Well, now we have friendly
Maybe the only way to unite this incredibly divided world of ours. They're out there, we better think of how all the differences among people on Earth would seem small if we felt threatened by a space invader. That's the whole theory of independence.
You're right.
By a space invader. That's the whole theory of independence.
Whenever Earth was feathered out in this sound. Whenever Earth was feathered out in this sound. Whenever Earth was feathered out in this sound.
By a space invader. That's the whole theory of independence.
You're right.
Everybody gets together and makes nice and,
You and Bill O'Reilly would be hiding in a bunker together.
Yeah. Old Bill O'Reilly, he every mean thing he ever said about me. I don't care. Look at that.
This is a production of The Open Scroll. I'm Bob Schlenker, and with Aaron Herman, we minister on the web at theopenscroll.com, theopenscroll.blogspot.com, revelationofbabylon.blogspot.com, and on YouTube as 17 Stormy 17.